It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Chala Dincoy. For those of you who are not in Chala's session yesterday, you are in for a big treat. Chala is the CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert. She's a marketing strategist who helps professional service companies change their messaging to attract more decision makers. In her former life, Chala was an award-winning marketer at companies such as Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, Diego, Playtex, and Bic Inc. for 20 years. Now she's a marketing consultant, the author of Gentle Marketing, A Gentle Way to Attract Loads of Clients, an expert featured on major television networks such as ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, as well as a speaker at international industry conferences. Chala dishes out big advice that's to the point, accelerates your growth, and is like rocket fuel for your business. Welcome.
Yay! Oh my goodness. Thank you. You did it. It's so happy. Well, you know, the reason why I like small is because we get intimate. And so, you know, I'm going to flip around what we're doing today. Instead of just me talking, what I'd love to do is to go around and find out what you think about when you think about elevator pitch, what you or your team have as a challenge around either pitching or elevator pitches. So could I start with this wonderful lady here? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you did fortify with coffee. I did see that, yeah. So tell us your name and tell us about your challenge.
My name's Trish Jewell. Challenge is just being shy and not confident
Okay.
with our customer.
And when you do elevator pitches, how does it go?
We don't do a lot of elevator pitches. That's why
Okay.
we're here, actually, to
Really?
learn how to do it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
when you're networking or when you meet someone who could be a prospect, what happens?
I don't know what happens. We're partners here.
Yeah. So that doesn't happen a lot, right?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Not a lot.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very good. Thank you.
We talk about each other's businesses type thing, but as
Yeah.
far as an elevator pitch goes, that's why I'm here.
Oh, you're in the perfect spot. So the next person.
I'm Pauline Vanderwell. We're business partners, as she said. When I'm approached about what we do, right away I get the, I don't know what I'm going to say, and I say the same old thing.
Yeah.
Nothing really.
Nothing earth-shattering. Okay.
exciting. Again,
You don't want to
it's
tell
the
us what it is?
confidence. No.
That's good. That's good. We're gonna hopefully you're gonna
I try
you're
not
gonna
to
try
just
to.
say I sell promotional products because
Yeah.
it's kind of.
How many of you feel that way? That you don't you try not to say that you sell promotional products. Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? Well, thank you. That's great. Next.
Cliff Quicksell, and I'm a consultant in the industry, but I find that based on your conversation yesterday, there's a lot of folks that I work with that are really focused on vertical markets, and based on that, I think I'm finding that you need an elevator pitch per vertical market,
yeah.
specific
Yeah.
to those vertical
Yeah.
markets, and I think the challenge is how do you craft that message so that it's consistent?
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
My name is Jay. I'm my distributorship is in Oakville, and if you had mentioned the word networking to me at any given time, I would run because I don't love networking events because it's usually people with a get mentality who stuff their cards in your face. So what I started to do was shift the thinking, and if somebody came up and even asked me what I did, I would turn it around and ask them questions, and then after they had a chance to talk about themselves a little bit, then if they still were interested in what I had to say or who I was or what I did, then I would craft my message based on some commonality between us. So trying to understand sort of their language and what they were doing, and then I would craft what my message about my company is that would suit them.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. We're gonna use some of those. I'm gonna teach you some of those techniques that Jay's talking about. Next.
My name is Kristen. I'm fairly new to my company, so I barely have much of an elevator pitch.
Perfect place.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of why I'm here to learn about it
Great.
and teach my colleague and stuff because she couldn't make it today as well. So.
Have you had an opportunity to tell anybody what you do for a living in a networking setting, or is it too new?
it's too new. I'm too busy to be able to go and network
Right.
as much as I would like.
Yeah.
So as soon as I get a chance to catch up myself with how much I want to learn in the company, then I'll network out more.
Yeah. And one of the best places to try your elevator pitch, I find, is family. And I always say, I have a tweet that says, if your family is confused about what you do, it's not good. It's not good if your family doesn't understand what you do for a living. All right, thanks so much. We'll go back here, and then we'll go to the front. Hello.
In French or English?
Do both.
Okay.
You could do both.
First of all, when we met a new customer, what we try to do to try to find out if we know any connection, because when you go on network, sometimes you know more than 6 degrees away with somebody
Yeah.
And I think so that's something you try to explore a little bit more and try to find out. Do you ski? Do you do sport? Do you do camping? Whatever what it is. You try to create type of a link. And most of the time, it's funny because you're gonna find out somebody. That guy or that person knows somebody else, and that's right away, that type start to create type of a direct link with, so getting a little bit more personal, I can say. And after that, when somebody, you mentioned something, said, are you afraid to see you're selling promotional product? But most of the people say, oh yeah, you're selling widget.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't. Yeah, you do. I said, no, I don't. I'm selling promotional product.
Okay.
Because I got the right vehicle to make sure your name's going to be out there, and on the proper way. So you have to understand there's a multiple way to do that. There's a budget that goes with that, obviously. But let's sit together and find out what you can spend and can you afford to spend. And our job is to find something you will be accordingly with your program, your name, and the vehicle you're looking for / budget, obviously.
Got it.
And most of the time when you do that, and when you get in, and also when you go to a higher level, with different management, depending where you are with the discussion or the second meeting or something like that, we are in a business solution. Where then you don't sell promotional product no more. So what's the solution? What's your business solution?
Got it.
And instead to be a partner, sometimes you can go, depending again how deep you go with the client, you become an integrator within the company, which it's totally different. So basically you're working for them, selling your stuff, your services, and make money and saving their money. Because there's multiple ways obviously to present that, to say that's gonna cost you, but the way I'm gonna charge you, obviously at the end of the day, you're gonna save money.
Right. Thank you. So this is, you're talking about an integrative process of selling, and I love it. And the difficult part that I'm teaching here today is I actually help, and sorry if I'm behind you, but I actually help entrepreneurs and business owners in pitch competitions. So you have no opportunity to ask them about whether they golf or they fish. So and then you have to hook them with what you're saying and then get the appointment. And this happens in roundtables. I belong to something called WBE, We Bank. These are women certified business owners. And every year in Canada and in the US, all over the world, there are almost every week meetings with buyers from large corporations where there's roundtables like where you're sitting, and everybody goes around and does their elevator pitch. And then there's competitions, and then there's matchmaking meetings that are one-on-one. So constantly I have to teach women business owners how to engage the interest without any time to be able to engage. But what you're talking about is a higher level selling, which is amazing. So how about you? Tell us about, what your experience with elevator pitches. Is it good? Is it bad? Are you good at it?
It's non-existent.
Oh, lovely. Okay,
So
another non-existent.
that's
Okay,
why,
interesting.
To be honest, it's non-existent, and that's why I'm sitting here today.
Great.
I've been very fortunate to have business based on performance and get referrals
Right.
and repeat business.
Yeah.
And keeping customers for 30 years.
Yeah.
But you need to go out and network.
Got it.
So that's.
Yeah, that's where you're here. Thanks. How about you, sir?
Sorry, I came a little bit late.
That's okay.
Interrupted by about 10 people on the.
Nice.
To say hello, but anyway, trying to give my elevator pitch to them. But
It's premature.
for me, it's a little bit different because I'm a supplier. And
Okay.
I think Tanya would probably be in the same boat as I am. That we're a little more focused as to what we do. So people would ask me, what sort of stuff you do. Then I'd come out and say, well, we make custom awards, recognition items, things like that. Not as wide a spectrum as you would have. So it's a little harder to to condense it into what we're doing.
So do you ever have the opportunity to meet prospects and pitch to them, or to do elevator pitches?
Or just people wanting to know what we do.
Exactly.
Always,
And do you have any competitors who are saying similar things to what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
And-
It's in French.
Well, there's a differentiator for you. Well, thank you. That's good. Okay, and we'll go to this table.
Okay.
All right, tell us what you do, and
So I'm Tanya, and I'm on the supplier side. So again, I think the problem with the elevator pitch is differentiating, because there are so many suppliers that do the exact same thing
yeah,
that we do.
that's what I was trying to
So
understand, yeah.
For me, I just want to find, ways to make it a little more creative and focused so that we stand apart from the other guys.
Excellent, yeah. You're going to learn how to do that, hopefully. Hello.
Hi, I'm Dino, and I'm also a distributor.
Okay,
I think, in general, I think we all really are put in a position to do elevator pitches. We just don't realize that we're actually in that situation a lot of times. As far as myself, the one thing I tend to say is, I always tell people I'm in the marketing and advertising industry.
okay,
Only because the minute you say you're only in promotional products, it kind of changes the dynamic of what you really do.
interesting, okay.
And once you tell them that, and then you expand into we can put your brand on any product and any medium, and it opens up the doors to conversation, and right away, it's endless.
Okay,
So that seems to work for
so
us.
you tell them you're in a different category than what,
Well, we are all in the advertising
Yeah.
industry, right? So at the
but
end of
you
the
don't
day,
use the words,
I don't
I'm in the
use
promotional
at the
products
very beginning,
business.
Exactly.
Got
So I
it.
find that kind of
Interesting.
shuts your door, right? So
Interesting,
by saying you're in the marketing and
interesting.
advertising,
Very
you
interesting.
let them know that we do all of that. And I end with, we brand your logo on any
Interesting,
product.
yeah.
And it tends to really
Okay,
work.
very good, thank you.
So I'm on the supplier side as well, except I'm more behind the scenes. I do the social media and marketing, like inbound marketing.
Okay,
So I wouldn't say I have an elevator pitch, because I'm never really in those type of situations.
got it.
I'm kind of here just to learn more about the industry and
Right.
to help us deliver better content.
So the good news for you is that the elevator pitch is actually pivoted around, is the pivot that your entire social media messaging, your online messaging, your marketing message, your communication platform is all based on. So I'm going to show you why that's true, and how you extend it on to your website and to your social media and to your marketing platform, because the message has to be the same,
Yeah.
right? It has to carry through.
Exactly.
So that's perfect. Thank you. Okay, you two lads. All right.
Hi, James, also a distributor new to the industry, but not necessarily to sales. So like many of the people in the room don't necessarily have an elevator pitch developed, but yeah, here to do that. Typically when I'm speaking with clients, it's almost like interview questions as much as I can to find out as much as I need to know before
About them, yeah.
approaching a
Okay.
pitch. So.
That's good. See, it's consultative, for sure, for
Yep.
sure. Thank you. And last but not least,
I'm Jonathan with, also a distributor, but yeah, I think
are you brothers?
Yes, we are.
Oh my God,
Yes.
so cute.
Yeah.
The next speakers are sisters. The next speakers are
I
sisters.
find we're not the only brothers in the industry. There's tons of.
It's too bad you're not twins, though. That would have been sort of the Mary Kate, and yeah. Ooh, good one.
But,
Burn.
Yeah, right. I think is it
I
Dino
love
was
it. Yeah.
saying, kind of nail on the head, which being in the industry only for a couple years, so also considering myself new, I
Yeah.
haven't really navigated what the best things are to say. But I find just in like something like I sell promotional products, it can get so clunky. So shifting
Yeah.
it to something, I'm in marketing and advertising, it just makes it so much easier to navigate.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
What a stigma there is
It
to
just-
that,
and
isn't
honestly,
it?
this morning I said to one of the hotel staff, that's what I was here for.
Right.
And just explaining to them who had no idea what the promotional industry was.
Right.
It was so difficult. To
Yeah.
explain. When I'm talking to clients, they have an idea.
Yeah, of
When
course,
I'm talking
that's
to
not your
somebody who's
target,
got
right?
No
Yeah.
idea what to do. And same promotional products, they had no idea. And so I had to kind of.
And do you really need to?
No,
explain
definitely not.
to
But
the
I'm just saying
waiter.
It can be so clunky.
But yeah,
to explain,
exactly. I have such a funny story about that. Thank you. My gay hairdresser would tell people that would sit on the plane next to him that he was a gynecologist, because he said that whenever he told people that he was a hairdresser, they would keep asking him for advice. So he was so mad about it that he would automatically tell them that he was a gynecologist, and that would shut them up because they were so embarrassed to ask about anything, whether it was a man or a woman. I just thought it was hilarious. Anyway, these guys were hilarious. And they always had a fight. He worked with his husband, and they were always fighting. Anyway, okay, so now I'm going to show you the goods. And by that, I mean, first I'm going to put my little bag, put your cards in. We'll keep in touch, but also you get to win my book and chocolate, which I did. And if you entered yesterday, enter again, because the chocolate bag today is bigger, and it's lint. So let me tell you about my story. After working for 20 years for giant corporations, and let me tell you, we bought stuff from you guys all day, all night, for everything in every department. And I worked for some pretty sexy brands, and I was always on the end that said, no, thank you. I was always, like being prospected. And one vendor, and this was a vendor presentation from hell, was actually, he had corrugated displays that had facial recognition. And this was when I was working for BIC. My last employer was BIC, and I was responsible. BIC, hey, hello, that's not us, but that's the graphic division. I was responsible for all of stationery. And our biggest account was Staples, obviously. And at back to school, they said that they could, thank you. Did everybody get this over here? That's good. And so imagine if a display could recognize a face based on whether it was a woman, a man, a child, or an adult, and it would spew out different messages and different offers. And that would have been like an amazing technology. So they had this technology, and they got me into that meeting. It was like a Friday afternoon, and I don't know, it was some sort of snowstorm similar to this, and it was really far from the office. And guess what? I was like about to give birth. So everything was harder for me. And it took 3 hours during that presentation. And this was one of the largest manufacturers of corrugate displays in Canada, if not North America. And for 3 hours, I almost gave birth because they didn't once talk about my brand issues. I don't think they even said the name BIC throughout the 3 hours. I don't know how many times I went to the bathroom, and I ran out of that meeting. And they took 3 hours. Like, because I had taken the time to drive there, I couldn't leave. And so in that moment, I thought, oh my God, I have to teach suppliers what they're doing wrong, because it's killing them, it's killing me. I went in there with such high expectations of looking like a rock star to Staples and to my boss and to the US, but they had no clue what the hell they were doing, and it was their top account managers, let me tell you. So for around, now it's 6 years, I've been the seller. So I have my own company, and I'm teaching, this is what I teach people like you, how not to do that. And what you'll learn today is learn the top mistakes the businesses are making in their pitches and find out how to pick that differentiator, remember, we were talking about, and then rewrite your pitch and try it out on the group in the session. So I don't know if we'll have time for all of that. I'm going to go through the content. It was important for me to find out where you guys were with respect to what you need to learn. And I think you will get this. But for those of you who have said that you haven't had the opportunity to go out and network because you've been so comfortable with word of mouth referrals, I'll tell you that most mature businesses that I work with are in that boat. And if something happened to those referrals or a big client were to drop off, they're completely left with no clue of what to do because their brain thinks back to cold calling. They think that's what marketing is, or cold knocking. And they have no clue how to go out and get, the same big, giant client, because it takes 18 months on average to close a large corporate account. I don't know what your experience has been. But so all of this stuff is going to get you back in the game when you start to look for opportunities where you can tell strangers what you do and hook them into a meeting, rather than having a warm lead or having referrals. So that's just what I wanted to say for those of you who are in that boat, because a lot of businesses who are not even prospecting. So what is the problem is 4 out of 5 companies I've met have never gotten business out of meeting buyers, even after multiple meetings with the same executive. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, it's the average, right? In fact, 86% of buyers aren't buying because they can't see a real difference. They think they're all the same. And guess what percentage of suppliers think they're different? They think, I have a differentiator. And this gets me when I ask businesses, I say, what do you think differentiates you? What do you think they say most common?
Customer service.
They say that, but the first thing they say is, I've got 30 years in the business, or I've got 20 years of, like, nobody cares, right? You're going to see at the end of this that nobody cares about you, sadly. It's true. And it takes 7 seconds for you to make a first impression. But even scarier than that is it takes a 1/10 of a second to rate someone as competent. So you guys have already, whether you're going to be able to walk out of here or not, you already have decided whether I'm competent or not. And the test they tried to show more than just the face, didn't change. And they tried to increase the exposure to the picture, still didn't change. It still took that long, that short, to make a first impression of competence. So why is this a problem? Well, you could be investing in things with no ROI. And you continue to hire reps, but you're teaching them what you know or don't know. So again, they're converting at a low ratio. And you don't know what to say at networking meetings where you're potentially meeting buyers. So here are the top 3 mistakes. One is non-segmented, which plays into if you were here yesterday, and I'm going to show you what that means. Generic pitching, which a lot of people fall into, and selfish pitching. So non-segmented pitching is, has anybody ever tried to eat a whole pie? Now, it doesn't feel good, look good, taste good, and that's what a lot of businesses try to do when they do their elevator pitch. So when businesses try to eat the whole pie, they leave a confused audience. And when I say by eat the whole pie, I'm talking about saying that you help everybody with everything. Or using such a generic term that they're so confused. So they're confused, they have an ineffective marketing plan, they don't know where to go. Your reps are confused, and you have irrelevant pitches, emails, voicemails, and marketing. And then the message blends with everybody else. Oh my God, I can't tell the difference between you. And then there's low close rates. And of course, frustration. So what I'm gonna say is, can you please segment it? And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I'll show you an example of how we segmented it at BIC. When we looked at, and these are the BIC pens right in the corner, we did a lot of research to get, I did a lot of research to get to this. We found out that there's 3 different kinds of pen purchasers or users. One is the thief, like they steal it, like right here, look, oh my gosh, look. They take it from conferences, they take it, so they don't actually purchase it. And then the other kind, that's a third. The other third, that's the kind you guys like, right?
No, we call those scoopers.
Oh, is that right? You have a term for it, I love it. The other third is what we call the cheap moms, and they will bargain hunt to a cent and will buy anything, and they don't care about the quality, and they don't care about the brand. They're like 100% non-brand loyal, and all they care about is the coupon. And the third, and they're literally actually a third and a third and a third, are pen lovers who will kill you if you take their favorite pen. They will, just like shoe lovers, they have more pens. They purchase more expensive ones. They know exactly what brand, what type, what ink, what grip, you name it. And they are extremely brand loyal. And what we found was they were not brand loyal to us. Guess who loved us at BIC? Which segment? And I'm not talking about the graphic. I'm talking about the consumer division. No, the thieves don't care. They don't. The moms, the cheap moms, right? Because guess what? Everybody associated BIC with the Crystal, which was the cheap, see-through, octagonal. So that's all they thought about. And guess who they thought of when the pen lovers? Who were they crazy about when they thought about? Sorry. Yeah, that's the luxury, and that's a very tiny amount. But the general consumers, they wanted Papermate. They just thought Papermate is just way more quality. They thought it had better ink, better flow, better looks, better quality. So, of course, we changed our entire marketing when I was there, and that was, I don't know, I guess 10 years ago, to talking about ink quality, because we figured out that that's what they really care about. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I say segmentation. So what does it look like for B2B, what you guys are doing? So the first part, I have a model that I use, and at the top is called your customers, the who, and the bottom is your products and services. And the first square is I'll work with everyone and do everything. That's trying to eat the whole pie. And what I've listed are all the different industries and customer types that you have. And at the bottom are all the different products and services that you can sell to them. Now, when I worked at BIC, I managed 720 SKUs and 5 categories. And Schaefer. So let me tell you that we had to do this prioritization when we were selling to office products. So the next piece is when the business is oriented around one type of product or service, or your communication is around that one product or service. But you still sell to all the different customer types. The reverse of that is you have only one customer type, but you have a ton of other products and a ton of products and services that you sell to that one type. And the last is really what I call the golden position. You pick one of each for your marketing platform. And here are the nicknames that I've given them. Starbucks is like the product focused, because all they do is coffee. And then the next is what I call the Chuck E. Cheese, which is, they're focused on one area, which is kids. So, and then the last one is the golden position. So what do you do with the golden position? Once you've picked one industry to focus on, just like what we were talking about yesterday, is if you have enough of a sales force and enough resources to actually have a different strategy for each different vertical or each different market target, that's great. If you don't, you have to do the job of prioritizing, and you can only do that through research. You can't just pick it out of a hat. So here's what you do with it. This is my marketing plan model for clients. You put the target in the middle of what I call the sun. It's the worldview of your target, and you need 7 to 12 interactions with your target before they'll buy, on average. And what you do is you get in front of them when they're reading their publications, or what podcasts they're listening, or what media they consume, or what LinkedIn groups they're in. You continue to insert yourself with the message, with your message. And you get into the associations and organizations that vertical is in, or that buyer in the middle. You go to their meetings, trade shows, conferences, events. You go and joint venture with other professionals who target the same people in the middle. And then you actually do joint ventures with your competitors who are targeting the same middle, but in a different way than you. Or there's something different about you. And so once you do that, that's your marketing plan. Let me show you some examples of clients, and some of you have seen these. How many of you were here yesterday? 1, 2, okay, so a few of you. So here's a client that the Kick was an ad agency, and they went bankrupt in 2009, and we had to come up with a new specialty for them, and out of a generic brand agency, they became an inbound marketing agency, which is all online marketing to get leads. And their new vertical was food service manufacturing, and it worked so well that shortly thereafter, I mean, their numbers are huge now, and they've hired a whole new staff. But I got, very shortly thereafter, very quickly, I got this email from the founder and to her new staff that said, hey guys, I called X Foods today and spoke with the director of marketing for food service. At first he turned me down, but he was so excited to hear from us when I said we specialize in this field. And this works all the time, whether with cold calls or elevator pitches or whatever, because you're talking about them and their problems, and you're telling them that you're a specialist. And that in itself is a differentiator to begin with. So their elevator pitch went from, we're an ad agency who does strategy and design, to we help get leads online for food service manufacturers 10 times faster than your sales staff. How do you think somebody might react if they hear that, right? So in all of the, I'm going to show you the befores and afters of the elevator pitches, so I want you to try to think of what yours might be. Here's a client I talked about yesterday. It was a generic marketing agency. I don't know if I'm in your way. Generic marketing agency called GR Marketing Strategists, and the heart of your business success lies in its marketing and distribution. And I haven't gone on to all of your websites, your company's websites, but I can tell you immediately when I land there if you're leaving money on the table. I've done this long enough to tell you that you're losing money, if you're losing money, or if it's differentiated. So when we did the research, we repositioned this company into something called the fooddistributionguy.com, and the specialty became getting marketing to get you listed, because the problem he was solving with his business was to get small food manufacturers listed and to allow them to stay listed in grocery stores. And I always tell the story of how he got so successful. He went from 0 to 16 new clients that he asked, no, he didn't ask me to marry him. This picture always reminds me of that. No, he asked his girlfriend to marry him at the age of 61 and invited me to the wedding. And then here's what his elevator pitch looked like. We're a marketing strategy company who can help you with your marketing needs. 2, we help food manufacturers get listed 4 times faster than average in retail stores and help them stay listed 30% longer. So, I mean, if you're doing the generic kind of pitching, you're trying to eat the whole pie and it's not going to work for you. So now what if you have multiple pillars like we talked about? Hopefully you have a different sales rep for each multiple pillar, and you're not expecting the same sales rep to do the different marketing in every different vertical. But if you are that sales rep, then you have to, in your own, make a strategy, make that sun, and then tailor your messaging within that vertical to whatever shows you're going in that vertical, whatever things you're doing in that vertical, whatever emails you're sending, always about them and always about being a specialist. So the mistake number 2 is generic pitching. And what is the one thing that corporate buyers want the most when they buy? Do you know? I mean, if you've ever worked for a corporation or you've sold enough to corporations, can you guess what they want? The one thing that they want from every type of supplier. The bigger they are, the more. It's even more than that. They want it even more than the ROI. ROI is only part of the picture. To look good, yeah, it's part of the picture again. It's actually, let me just show you this. It's for you to be a safe choice. It's for them to make a safe choice. And I actually just did a webinar called Trust Marketing about this. And I've done some research for that. It's phenomenal. It's really amazing how many buyers they want to, but they can't because they're so scared. And there's actually statistics about all the things that they're scared about and how to appeal to switch, that trust trigger. And if anybody's interested, I'll talk to you about that. I'm going to give you some opportunities to have a discussion afterwards. But so what is a safe supplier? I mean, I'll give you the Coles notes in this, but there is a whole education that I do on this. First is blogging, right? And I don't care if you're a sales rep or a CEO. And if you're a CEO, there's research that indicates that if you're not posting and blogging on a regular basis, the trust factor diminishes and your returns diminish on your stock, on your company's stock. So even if you're a sales rep, you can be blogging. If you don't have the permission from your company to be blogging, then you need to get the permission to share content, even from trusted resources. So you need to be constantly talking as an expert. I do some volunteering at local colleges and universities and help students with employment preparedness. And this is the one thing that I tell them. You have to pick a specialty, pick something that you want to do for a living, and then you have to blog about their industry problems and how you think, or about the people who are blogging about the solutions. And just share the damn thing if you can't blog, if you can't put 2 words together. There's blogging like what Jay does. She sends like 2 words or 2 sentences every Monday. You don't have to have this whole huge thing. It could be voice. You could just send a voice recording. You could just do a video recording. But it's a stake in the ground about what you think about the industry problems, and what you think the solutions can be. Did you have a question, or are you just looking thoughtful?
I am looking thoughtful. I did
Good.
have a question, but it relates to something way back.
Oh, sure.
You were talking about the who and the what.
Yeah.
And, Starbucks being an example, Chuck E. Cheese being an example. For the golden position, do you have a company that kind of represents?
Yeah, I do. There's so many good ones. I'll give you just the first one that pops in my head is there's a restaurant called Auberge de Pommier in I don't know if it's still around, but it's like Young and York Mills, yeah. So anyway, it's a very, very, I remember I won a $100 gift certificate at a conference, and it didn't even pay for the appetizers. Like, that's the kind of restaurant it is. But and the menu is literally like this short, right? So what I'm saying is, like, they're very, very, very limited choices. And then I compare it to the Applebee's. Like, I don't know if you still have Applebee's here, but or Kelsey's, which is, it's like their menu is like a book. And there's Mexican in there. You can eat, like Italian, and you can eat Chinese, God knows what else. I don't know if they're still that way, but so that's the example of what I think is so specific. But there's so many other examples, like that's what we try to get my clients to do, right? Like the Kick was very specific to one industry and one thing that they sell. Does that make sense? And there's companies you will never hear of, but they are so large, but they only work in mining. And they do just PR for mining. But you've never heard of them, but they're like wildly successful. Okay, so that's blogs, one thing. The other thing that I love are executive roundtables that you can do. And what executive roundtables are, you invite 8 of your prospects, and it can be one from each different industry, or it could be from the same industry but the same level, because CEOs want to talk with CEOs, or directors want to talk at the director level. So you have to make sure that they're all the same level. And what you invite them into the room to talk about is a common and painful and costly issue that you, in some indirect way, are able to solve for them. But and it's not a sales pitch, this executive roundtable. You are facilitating a discussion about the topic. So, for example, the speaker that was before me was about safety, toy safety. So he said that they actually bring him in as an expert to be a differentiator, which I loved. So that could be, but I don't love it that he's the star. I love it that if you educate yourself and pull together data and then educate them for a little bit of it, and then facilitate a discussion around the table to see what do you think about this issue? How has it come up for you? So you'll learn from each other. Yeah.
Is that something that you would organize and create a topic and then
Yes, sir.
invite the right people?
Perfectly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And it works for any industry?
Any industry. I have done it, and my clients have done it for every industry you can imagine, except hairdressing.
Those guys have gone to college.
Right.
That's right. If it ever happens that you're sitting next to a gynecologist, look at his hair. If it's really good, on the airplane. Okay. So yeah, it positions you as an expert to pull these people. Typically when I do these are like day 0 of registration of conferences. So sometimes like I don't want to go to that conference, but my target is going to it, and it's purely educational, and it's like $10,000 to attend, but it has no bearing at all on what I'm doing. Like I don't want to sit there through medical education, let's say. But what we will do is we will create that executive roundtable the day before and call and say, well, if you're going to that conference, would you be interested in coming to this roundtable? So it's a way for you to attach yourself to their event, because they're all going to be there. Okay. You have to be visible. Like, I'm not saying get on TV like I did. Like, it was hard. It's hard. I'm still doing it. If that's your thing, there's a thing that my coach says about getting on TV. The only people on TV are there because they want to be. And believe me, I have never had as much respect for actors as I did, because it's just more rejection that I had ever had in 45 years of living, ever. So you don't have to do TV, but stuff like this is okay. Like talking to 6 people is okay. You can start that way. You can start with the executive roundtables, but be visible. And if you've got no platform skills or wanting to do that, that's fine. Then just go network. Just get out there, which I'm sure you've heard of. And then, of course, when you speak at industry conferences, it elevates everything. And you don't have to be good. Oh my gosh, I write about this all the time. As people think I'm not good enough. I'm going to stumble. I'm scared. I have seen so many horrible speakers, honest to God, at conferences, and I have no idea how they got those breakouts. But they get business out of it. And I talk to people afterwards, and the speaker's been talking about things that were like in style 10 years ago in the industry of marketing, let's say, and people still buy because it's the fact that you're just, brave enough to stand here. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah.
On that point,
Yeah.
If you're marketing to certain vertical markets, I found it very successful to actually go in and speak in exchange for booth space. For instance,
Nice.
if you want to exhibit.
Very nice.
As long as you don't make it about you, and it's
Yeah.
about a subject
Yeah.
like a pain point that
Yeah.
you can solve, it works remarkable. I did
Love
that
it.
a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Free booth space, and it sets you up as an expert. For sure.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you know the power of, this gentleman here, he's a professional speaker. Are you certified? You're not certified, right?
CSP certified.
Yeah.
Next year.
Okay, all right, almost certified, but he's a professional speaker. Okay, so one other thing that I do is called conference coaching, where you hire other experts about different pain points for the same industry, and you go to their industry, and this is actually our corner at Incentive Works, which we had for the past 3-4 years, and they do it amazing, like huge white couches for the coaching corner, and then people sign up for one-on-one laser coaching for 20 minutes with different disciplines, and it's all visibility. And then publish. You're going to get one of these books. I've done 3. And the How to Win Friends the way Apple Wins Customers is the one that I'm doing the book tour on. So it's just visibility. I know Jay's published one. Who else has a book out? Does anybody?
Jay's actually published 3.
3. I didn't know about the 3rd. My goodness. Okay. So companies don't hire suppliers. They hire experts. And that is the way that you differentiate yourself. It is, we create expert topics for clients. And I've shown you some, and I'll continue to show you some others. So here is a client who has a pretty big translation company, but it was a generic translation company, and they were crushing it already. But what they wanted to get was they were too reliant on the government for their contracts, so they wanted to get some private company client base. So this was their website, Language Marketplace. It was, it's pretty generic stuff, right? Oh, they've got great client retention, amazing quote approval, and so many clients trust them. And what we did when we researched, again, I take a generic company and we find a specialty and a pain point to make them an expert in, and then we market based on that. So that's the differentiator. So what we did with this company was we discovered when we did the research that over 75% of the world speaks a language other than English. And in Canada, what's the #1 translation request is English to French. So when we looked at the profitability and the requirements of the market, we found that there was a huge gap for other languages. Because, first of all, it's emerging, and second of all, they have very little competition. And any other competitor, it takes them a month to translate a Punjabi document, and it takes them a week. So we did not know this before we did all the research. So this became the new positioning. And so they became the fastest translators, the positioning became the fastest translators of other languages. So do you see how you take a generic company with no differentiator and you pivot based on an expertise? Okay, so the pitch went from we're a translation company who works with governments and agencies and all industries, and this is literally what she would say. And then it went to we're the fastest translators of other languages for marketing agencies, because again, our research showed that marketing agencies are the people that they need to go to because they're the ones who the big companies are actually going to translate their stuff. So the last mistake I'm going to talk about is called selfish pitching. So here's a question that's going to make you guys uncomfortable. If you had a stadium full of your ideal client, what would you say to them? If you had 30 seconds and this microphone right here, and there's no opportunity to ask them any questions, no opportunity to have a discussion, it is one way because you're at a stadium. So does anybody have any clue what they would say? Yeah, here.
I would say we have a statement on our website, and it's what I use if it's generic,
Uh-huh.
and it's we create high-impact branding and deliver peace of mind.
Okay, all right. And who's in the audience? Who's in the auditorium or
Well,
the stadium?
that's the generic statement.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, but it says your ideal client. So who would you fill, who would be your ideal client to fill the auditorium or the stadium? Okay. Do you know?
We're working on a program for real estate agents right now.
Okay, so let's say it's real estate,
still
okay.
a little bit new. We're still working on a lot of the pain points and some of the challenges.
Okay.
But we're working on a proposal to help them. So I don't have, like you had mentioned, some of the other really great pitches had percentages in them. So,
Sure.
you know,
Well, make it up.
I don't have that information.
That's okay, just make one up.
Okay, so, thanks.
You can do it, you got 3 books.
Yeah, that's what I do. Okay, so so I'll dump the first part and say we help real estate agents build lifelong clients and multiply them with ×5 or something, because the whole point is once they get a client, you want to leverage that client, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
not just have a client for life, because people only move like every 7 years on average, so you want them to be able to leverage those, or we make your clients lifelong clients become ambassadors or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so may I turn that around a little? Okay, so I'm going faster than the slides, but here's how I would make it sharper. Did you know that 4 out of 5 realtors never get return customers, if that's the problem? Right. Or did you know that 90% of real estate purchasers never go back to the same agent?
Right. Okay.
We help you change that.
Right. Okay.
Do you see how?
Yeah.
Do you
The
see?
other thing I find with them is real estate agents typically are terrible marketers.
Oh,
They
understood,
network
yeah.
like crazy. They give away a ton of crap, and they can't figure out why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I have that answer, so I need to
Yeah.
rephrase
So figure out what is the biggest pain point that is costing them the most amount of money, and then talk about the pain. Anybody else willing to try? Yeah.
I just thought of this right now.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of what our company's gone through.
Yeah.
And I've been in business now for 19 years.
Nice.
So I can kind of look back at the history. I guess I could say something like 80% of clients that have left us have come back because of how we've performed.
Okay.
Or something along that line.
Okay.
And of the 20% that didn't come back, I know for a fact that maybe half of them is because they've actually moved out of the industry or don't buy it or whatever. So how would I use that as because I mean, again, we all sell the same,
Yeah.
but maybe
Yeah.
sell the reason that most of our clients come back. We have loyalty because of something that we do.
So-
Obviously, we're doing something right to have them come back after they leave. Or
Tell me who's in the audience. Who's in the stadium? That's the problem, right?
Well, most, whoever our buyer is. I mean, it could be.
Right.
For us, I'm so diverse, so it's hard
I
to
know.
say.
So that's what I'm saying is either you have the resources to put to different verticals, or you prioritize which one you can hit first, which one has the biggest opportunity, right? And then once you figure that out, and there's a whole formula to doing that, give me an example of a industry that you think you help well. Give me an example of an industry you work with. Yeah.
I mean, we have a big focus on the construction industry.
Okay, let's say construction. What is the problem that you help with in the construction industry that costs them money?
Our clients are the cheapest people that can exist, so it's hard to say.
So are realtors. So are realtors. So are lawyers. Let me tell you.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
You're not alone.
I think what we've gotten really good at, I mean, if I have to look at our clients, we've gotten really good at picking the product that not only represents them, that makes them look great.
Okay, I don't care. I don't care about you. I want to know about them. Tell me their problem that costs them money that you're solving. What is the problem? Is it they do a construction and they don't ever get, the return, the client to come back? Is it employee retention? I know, for example, the trucking business, that's their number one problem is retention of the drivers. So what is that? So I love it that you're asking. I love it that you don't know that.
I don't, because I have so many different clients that have all their own problems. So.
Well,
isn't that the point, though?
Yeah.
Is that I think what happens is we don't ask enough questions.
Sorry. I love it. Yeah, I was just going to make that point.
But I do on an individual basis. Like when I'm talking to my client, my first question, I always ask, what are your needs before I start spieling, right? So unless I know what they're looking for, what their needs are, where their obstacles are, and I can now create the product or the service to help that, I have to ask them. But then I'll go to the next client who can still be in construction, and they have a totally different issue.
But Chala made a great point yesterday, is that we don't, as a rule, do enough research. And I think if you research a lot on the web about, you said yesterday, Google's a great resource. If you Google, what are the top 10 challenges facing the construction industry in Canada, you will get so much information, it'll be ridiculous. Great talking points when you walk in. I mean...
So is it to make a generic conversation so that you can lead to business, or is it...
you know what I mean? Like when you want to get that information, like I'll tend to find out, first of all, go to a website if it's a new client and learn a little bit about them and what the industry is all about. So at least when I show up there, I can act a little bit smart about what they're doing, right? So especially if it's something I don't know. But when you're saying like learn the obstacles that the drywallers are going through right now, and I show up, how does that always play in what I'm selling? I mean, it could be conversation to create trust.
Yeah,
right?
so
that I'm knowledgeable.
The process. I understand what you're asking. So thank you. These are great questions. So what I love, and I'm going to answer the question, but what I love, I'm not going to double mic myself here. Okay. What I love is that your discovery that you don't know, and you think that they're disparate, that every different player in that industry has a different problem. And what I'm going to tell you is you're wrong. And based on what you're saying is you can discover that from a macro level by, reading the stuff that's written about the industry, but we work differently than just Googling. That's a starting point, but what I love to do is talk to prospects that we have shortlisted as being the best fit for us and asking them what keeps you up at night. What is a costly and persistent problem that's keeping you from making more money? So then we look at commonalities. And there is no industry in which I've worked that we have not found one big commonality. Then you take that and you use that as the basis for all of your messaging. And I'll show you on the website, in your elevator pitch, in your social media, in your mailers, everything. So the thing is, remember you weren't here yesterday, 70% of people make purchasing decisions based on solving a problem, and only 30% on improving something. So if you're not using that leverage of human psychology, you are missing the boat. You're missing it with your elevator pitch, and you're missing it with your website and all of your sales efforts. So here is a client, and I have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to go fast. Here's a client who the pain was that, how many of you employ millennials? Does anybody employ millennials? Okay, well, you may want to say goodbye to them right now in 3 years. Most of them are going to be gone. You are a millennial, I know. So this company, what they do is they help those people stop from leaving. And so by the end of 2020, this is on the website. So when you go onto the website, the first thing you see is pain, 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 and then how she solves the pain. Now you go to her elevator pitch, and her introduction would be, we help increase millennial employee retention for IT companies, reducing their turnover by as much as 45% a year. I work with a name badge company in Vancouver, and they target the retail industry. And the number one problem in retail is what? Anybody know? No, that's hotels. Turnover is a big problem too, but the number one problem from a high level is Amazon, the Zon, right? So people are leaving brick and mortar. Nobody's going in. They're doing their research, and they're going to the store to look, and then they're actually buying online because they can get better deals. And if that's not happening in your industries, I'm surprised. So our messaging now talks about that problem. We actually have education about how to turn that around, and we include the fact that using name badges actually helps with that, right? So I'm trying always to shift people from a transactional information to a partnership of giving advice. Okay, I'm going to skip to, here's the formula. It's who you help, what you do, and the problem you solve. So here's an example. We're a name badge company, and here's another vertical they work with is hotels, who reduces reprinting costs for hotels by 50%, because in that industry, apparently that's the #1 concern around name badges. Or we're a woman-owned name badge company who helps hotels reduce their taxes by 10% by using diversity certification grants. Now, this is more for the US. There's much more grants in the US for using diverse suppliers. But that's the formula. Another formula that I love is, do you know when? Name the industry and the pain. Well, what I do is I help solve it. Do you know when small businesses can't get in the door with corporate decision makers? Well, what I do is I change their pitch so that they can get in front of more buyers. That's what I do. That's mine. I just made it up. Okay, so in the few minutes left, I wanted to give you the next steps is if you think I have anything of value to share with you or your teams, sign up for a complimentary phone session. There's dates and times, and leave your card if you want. And then if there's no dates and times available, just write your name and give me your information. And if you can circulate that, that would be great. And next, I want to have a draw for my book. Did everybody put in their name? Yeah? Oh, did you put in your cards? Yeah? Okay, good. All right. So in the meantime, does anybody have questions that are, I kind of had to go really quick at the end. David Plummer, President, Clearmount. Now, are you going to read it or are you going to eat the chocolate? Okay. It's really good. Congratulations. I hope you read it. Okay. So what questions do you guys have around elevator pitches? We've got 1 minute. Yeah.
I guess just around elevator pitches and everything you kind of talked about, can I be an expert for multiple different verticals at multiple different times? Like you're saying, if you're wearing all the hats at once, I'm eating the whole pie. It's not a good idea. But can I eat parts of the pie at different times? Like, can I be an expert for different verticals at different times? Like, I can't focus on multiple verticals at the same time and perform,
I know exactly what you're asking, and
the short answer is no.
Well, I mean, because if you're going to really commit to it, then your stuff is online, then your LinkedIn profile is different. So then how do you play around with, you're confusing people online when they go, right? Yeah. So I would rather, well, it depends on whether your employer would let you, but I'd rather you commit to just like 1 or 2 and make them related so that, it's not so far off. And then talk them into a budget where you're in front of that same group of people all the time, and so that your content that you're putting out is always related to them in some way. Yeah. And if you're generating enough money, I mean, the name badge company, I trained 13 of their reps. They don't care where the money comes from as long as it's coming. Right. I know they have budgets for each different product line, but they don't care. As long as their sales are up, which they are, they don't care, right? So I think you need to, depends on the leniency of how they're willing to let you demonstrate that. Right. Yeah. Yeah, you have to. You kind of have to. If you're an expert, you're not, like I have about like, do you ever meet a podiatrist and a gynecologist? Like, it's ridiculous. How could you be both an expert? And if somebody said they were, would you trust them?
I've met a hairstylist that
But you don't know that. He wouldn't tell you that. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Okay. Have your foot up your butt, yeah.
Okay, so what if we don't know the statistics? You mentioned
ma'am.
earlier, one of our vertical markets is the trucking industry.
Okay.
And we do know that that is a big problem, is driver retention.
Yes.
The big customer that we have, we know what they do to try and keep their customers, but we have no stats. So how do we approach other trucking industries if we don't, like, how can we say, this is the problem, this is what we're going to do, and
Right,
this
okay.
is how it's going to turn out for you?
That's a very, so do you know how you help retention? How do
Well,
you?
they treat their drivers really well.
No, but I mean, is what you do part of that solution of treating them well?
Well, we treat our customer, they don't have problems finding anything. They need something, they call us and say, can you find this or do this or,
You have to be part of the solution, right?
yeah.
So if you're not part of that solution, what problem do they have that you are a part of the solution? And if you're not a part of a solution, they wouldn't be purchasing from you.
Right.
So you have to figure out what is the problem around the thing that you do that you're helping with. If it's retention and it's because the uniforms are much more easy to get, maybe you can,
that's it.
maybe that's the problem.
yeah.
So what, and if there's no statistics online about that, which try Google, you may find it. What we do is we talk to existing clients or prospects in that industry around that problem, and we ask them, out of 10 of them, how many of them agree that it's their number one problem around ordering? Then that's what we say. We say that's the, anecdotal, and we source it. We say, based on customer interactions, based on 10 customer interactions. You're not lying, and it's not, it is true, and it is a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, all right. Yay. Oh, one more question. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Sandra. I just was going to say that in our industry, typically, is that oftentimes we're not considered a pillar of advertising or marketing, and we're not measured. So, and I think that we have to get better at understanding the ability our medium has to change behavior and to understand and to start asking those tough questions with our customers is how can I help you change this process or know how you're going to help, but ask them to measure it and ask them to feed back so that we have some results, because we do sell a lot of stuff into a lot of places, but unless we're asking the right questions, they won't know or know that what we have done has actually helped them.
That's really difficult though, I find, because I especially when I do a really specific project, when I do a specific project,
I always ask my clients, what was the feedback from your end user or internal, if it's an internal staff thing. And it's so difficult to get that back from them. It's almost like they don't know. You don't need to know.
They don't know.
Or we don't have time to, or it was just great. It wasn't successful or it was successful. Like to really create that measurable, unless you give them data sheets and you say you got to do this and you assign somebody. I find that our industry is so.
On the front end, if you ask the question, what would success look like to you? That's a different conversation than if they said, well, if I go to a trade show and I can get 10 new clients, okay, then that's the measuring stick.
Yeah, so
if that's what
that's what they want,
that's their issue.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, no, and I have an answer for you actually. So let's say the objective is brand impression, because they just want the impression to look better, and they want them to think better of the brand, let's say. There are ways of measuring that, which is, as a brand manager, that's all I did. You actually ask people to rate according to my brand is modern, or my brand is my dad's brand, or, so in studies you do that. Now, how you do that with giveaways, it's one of my biggest pet peeves especially in your industry. I went to a WPO retreat where a woman, actually one of the members, the WPO is what Jay belongs to. It's $1 million plus revenue if you're a product-based company, or service-based, and $2 million if you're product-based. And she put frozen desserts into the goodie bag. And they were so expensive and they were so luxurious, and there was like a huge pack. I don't know how much that cost her, and there was no way for me to find her again. Like there was no tracking, I can't tell you how much money goes out the door with things that are given away because there's no way to track anything. And if you don't from the outset set out, they won't know how to do it, and they don't know any better. So you need to build a mechanism to track it, not just for yourself, for the business, to be able to say to them, look, this is how it turned out for you.
But in a lot of cases, because they don't see our industry as measurable, they won't do it, or they don't.
Right.
It's really hard.
So you got to start.
Trade show example
Yeah.
yesterday, trying to help that client understand if you do this pen in this way to mirror your banner, mirror your message, the impact, we can measure that impact is going to be so much greater. And she said, just put the logo on the pen. So
Yeah.
in a lot of cases, like they don't see our industry as measurable.
Understood. But you have to start with the clients that are willing to, right?
But may I interject?
Yeah.
You made a great point. What we fail to do is we don't do it right for ourselves first.
Yeah.
If you send out marketing, this is typically what we do. We hand out pens, that's our marketing. Instead of doing something that has a call to action, that's creative, innovative, that there's a return there, that's when all of a sudden you can then say, we did this particular campaign and we were trying to solicit X number of prospects and we got an 85% response rate on that. That is measurable. If you're asking people to do it and you're not doing it, that's a problem.
It's a starting point, yeah. But to make you feel better, and I'll get to in a minute, the statistic that I'm talking about as a pain point for your message and for your pitch, that's not what we're talking about here. That is an industry stat, and that is a customer problem stat, which is different than your ROI. Yeah, your ROI stat, which is different. But you could use that, but it's your ROI stat is not
You shouldn't make it about yourself.
Yeah, it has to. Thank you. Exactly. I'll get the microphone. For anyone who needs to leave, we're over time, and I don't like to do that. But yeah, sure.
No, I was just going to say that it's the number one question I always ask distributors and customers, everybody else, is what did you give out 2 years ago, and where are those items now?
Right.
So
yeah, and nobody tracks it.
Trying to get the customer to say, yeah, you're right, I've got to give them something more creative, something more valuable and everything else. That's what you've got to do. I mean, how many times I've been to an event, come home, taken a look at what I got, and threw it in the garbage.
Yeah, yep, exactly. I agree with you, and it's my biggest pet peeve. Yeah.
Just to talk about
Is it on?
Is it on? Yeah. It's good.
Just to talk about with the two nice lady right there on the, I don't know your name. You talk about solution for a uniform as an example, right? We're going through those problems every single day, and that's what I love the most. I mean, when somebody comes to me with a problem. First of all, what we have to do is as a company, we have to make sure we're doing our homework. What is the solution? What can we do for a client? No matter the size of the client, because the size of the client doesn't matter on the solution. And then, sometimes you have to do some practice. Obviously you choose the one, you can take the risk of it to do something. And when you're getting better and better at that, then you go to a client, and when you go talking about the freight company, where your turnaround is crazy. It's probably like 50% per year, or if it's not more than that sometime. First, when you talk to a buyer, you have to make sure you understand when you do procurement, because they're so basic. Procurement on the list of 10, buying become the 6th or the 7th item on the list. The first one is services, because you can pay the price you want. If he's not there and the guy suddenly is just running nude on the truck when he's driving, obviously he's not accomplishing anything, right?
If he's nude, lovely. There's an image of a truck driver.
Well, the good thing is that we're higher up when they're driving, so that's a different topic. But my point is, you have to convince the client the price is not an issue, and services it is. And on one of your slide, you said, have to be saved. Save means solution. What can you say, and what is the commitment to your client, to the client, to say, that's what I can do for you, and it's working, and that's why, and that's how, and this is the solution. And honestly, then you're gonna say, you're telling me, and some of the guys, they say, I'm not gonna have to buy pants no more. You say, absolutely, we'll take care of you. And that's
Thank
part
you.
of it.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, I'm still here, and I'm going to go work out after, so you guys are welcome to keep me from that. Thank you.
So on behalf of the PPPC and everybody here, Chala, I'd like to thank you for your very informative session.
Thank you.
It was wonderful, and thank you for attending us.
Wonderful. Have a good rest of the day, guys.